Welcome to This Week in Local, a Localogy podcast featuring lively conversations about the local digital ecosystem, hosted by Localogy analysts Mike Boland and Charles Laughlin.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to This Week in Local. I'm Charles Laughlin, Senior Analyst at Localogy, joined by my co-host and co-senior analyst, Mike Boland. Mike, how's it going?
Hey, Charlie. Going well.
Great. So, Mike, what is on your mind today?
Sure. So I've been looking at something that Google has announced recently that which sort of raised some eyebrows, which is that it's going to place calls to businesses on your behalf. And it's not the first time Google has done something along these lines, but this current one, it's sort of meant as a time-saving tool, meant to sort of ease some pain points. Waiting on hold at your bank or your airline or whatever is very much a common pain point. So I think a lot of people are going to like this. But anyway, it will wait on hold for you. And then when your spot in line finally reaches a live agent, it will text you and send you a link and say, "Hey, jump back on. We're ready for you." And that's, it might sound familiar because that functionality is similar to what some companies actually offer.
It's baked into IVR now, isn't it?
Yeah, there are IVR systems that say, "Hey, rather than wait on hold, let us call you back, when your spot in line comes up." And I think a lot of people like that. So Google's essentially saying, let us, a third party, sort of handle that task, because that feature, though it's out there, it's not totally ubiquitous. So Google's sort of stepping in to cover the gap.
Right.
So anyway, it's called Talk to a Live Rep. Google's able to pull off the actual technical functionality by sort of running the call through the Google app, either the Android or the iOS app. You can also do it on desktop, on the Chrome browser. And then, Google has done something similar. So for Pixel phone owners, there's a feature that's sort of natively available on Pixel phones. The difference with this one, they've actually extended the functionality. It won't just wait on hold for you. Like it's like a full end-to-end thing. Like from the UX perspective, what you do is like once you're like on a search engine or on Google, and you're seeing search results, there are now basically little buttons attached to some search results that activate this feature. So you basically just hit the button and they'll do everything. You don't even have to like dial the number, and they'll go through the phone tree, like the IVR system, in terms of like pressing 1, pressing 9, whatever. Like they'll figure out how to get to the agent, and then, once they get you, they'll do it. And there's a lot of question marks. Like a lot of those IVR systems are, automated, and then you have Google's thing automated. So basically a robot talking to a robot, and that's bound to not always go well. And then also my sort of point of doubt is that once they get that agent on the phone, the agent might be confused when all of a sudden this Google bot speaks up and says, "Hey, we've got Mike waiting for you. Let me go get him." Like, how long is that agent going to wait?
Mike's executive assistant.
Yeah. How long is the agent going to wait? So basically, it's very much like other Google product releases where they're testing it in the wild. So all these questions will be sort of be the answer. It's in open beta now for people to sign up for and test. But also that question of like, will the agent be confused? Part of that is being alleviated by the fact that the way Google's rolling this out is it's partnering with several companies, some airlines. They have Alaska Airlines, Delta, JetBlue, some other, retailers like Best Buy and Costco, the types of places where you're typically calling and waiting on hold. So they want to work with those players and sort of not substitute their IVRs, I should say, augment their IVRs with this system. And I think those players will see it as a customer service play, and they may like it. So anyway, a lot more to say on like, in a broader sense, what this means. I think it's representative of Google's sort of approach in AI for like lots of different reasons. But I'll pause there on like the what this is.
I got some questions. What is the end game? Is the end game more of an end-to-end call agent, act? Is Google going to be handling, are they going to be handling our banking problems for us?
Yeah.
Is it going there?
Yeah, you always have to ask why. Like, why are they doing this? And I think to step back a few steps to answer that question of why, Google's sort of introduction into AI. You remember, I don't know, about 6 months ago, everyone was giving it a lot of flack for being late to the game
because it didn't do ChatGPT.
Exactly. Like OpenAI, a startup, came up with ChatGPT, not Google. And then Microsoft was sort of out of the gate first with a lot of sort of AI agent types of functions, both in search, right? Like ChatGPT integrations in Bing, but then also
Yeah.
some, integrations throughout the Microsoft productivity suite. So everyone was
It
like,
wasn't the core issue that Google was too concerned about not being perfect.
Kind
That
of.
was
There was a little bit
yeah,
of that, but I think also
yeah.
my theory at the time when everyone was like, "Where's Google and all this?" I kept saying Google's going to be just fine.
I
Google
remember you
has
saying that.
20 years of like knowledge graph data, which is the best
Hmm.
human intelligence training set you could ask for under its belt. I think Google's problem was not one of capability, but one of a classic innovator's dilemma. The more it leans into AI, the more it sort of supports this world where you just sort of ask one question, get one answer, as opposed to Google's core business, which deals with, search volume, ad inventory, 10 blue links, 3 sponsored links, as opposed to this just like very efficient gas one question, get one answer. So anyway, it has
Right.
started to roll out AI in other places. Such as, for example, on the back end, it's really appealing to a lot of businesses by saying, hey, your AdWords campaign, we can now automate all the rote parts of it, help you come up with keywords and page meta descriptions and stuff like that. This is another example of some of those like ancillary places where Google's sprinkling in AI to serve its business interests and its ends. In this case, I think this gets back to your question. This product is one of many sort of loss leaders that Google has. Everything from Gmail to Google Voice to other things, where it basically just sort of locks you into their ecosystem to monetize people on an average revenue per user basis through search and other things. This is just one of those
Yeah.
things that like just sort of locks you into the ecosystem, and it's utilizing AI there. And it's using AI just sort of all along the margins in lots of ways to just sort of improve many of its products. I think the one it's trying to not improve yet, or at least it's slow walking, is search itself. Again, because of that cannibalization concern. So that's a
Yeah.
roundabout way of answering your question of like, why are they doing this? But yeah.
But where I still sit listening to you describe this experience of having Google, wait in line for you, basically. Um, I've been through, I've been on, hold a lot with banks lately. Just we all go through those periods where we have to do this a lot,
Yeah.
and I've been through this experience quite a bit lately. Where let us call you back when it's your turn and that kind of
Right.
thing. And that stuff works well enough. It's better than listening to horrible elevator music for another 30 minutes. But what you described doesn't sound any better than that.
Yeah. Well,
And
maybe.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, companies themselves, whenever they do things that are homegrown or maybe they use outside tech consultants, are
Mhm.
traditionally not good at technology. Where Google, this is their core competency. So maybe they will be
Right.
able to come in. It's sort of like what Google has done with Google TV. They've replaced the very subpar television UX interfaces offered by Samsung,
Hmm.
Sony, and others. Theirs is just so much better. So this is sort of analogous to that. And then maybe they can come along and say, hey, we have a lot of sort of telephony based technology that's in things like Google Voice and other things. I think they might be able to do a better job. And then that gets back to your first question. And one thing that like I guess I didn't answer, which is the end user may be like users that are calling, but the actual customer may be a lot of these businesses. Because if it can step in and say, hey, we will do a better IVR system for you, starting with our foot in the door in this functionality, but maybe expanding into the whole system, perhaps that
Hmm.
is, I'll use the word loss leader again, something that really just pushes or supports its Google Cloud business,
Yeah.
because you need a lot of data to be able to do this. So I think it could be something along those lines that's driving Google towards
Yeah.
doing this.
I'm just trying to think, where could you take this where it would deliver more value? There's more
Yeah,
value creation.
but I
Uh,
think it's a good
sales
question in
sales
terms.
organizations. I don't know. I'm
Yeah, there
spitballing
you
here,
go.
but yeah.
Now, you bring up a good question is, will this be any better than the homegrown one? I don't know. I think Google
Mm.
traditionally can do better than companies' own sort of homegrown things, though.
Well, I don't necessarily question that, but I guess I just didn't hear the okay, this is going to change my life.
Yeah.
You
Well,
know,
anyone
moment.
interested in checking it out, including you, Charlie, I mentioned it's
Mhm.
in open beta. Google has a
Yeah,
program that some of our listeners may be familiar with that
maybe I
is.
should try it before dumping all over it.
Yeah, but you have to be a part of this this sort of program. I forget what it's called. It's
Yeah.
like Google Explorer. That's not it. That's their maps based one, but it's sort of a
Yeah.
program that allows you to beta test a lot of early things. If you are now I remember, it's Google Search Labs. If you're a part of Google
Okay.
Search Labs, you can test this out. So,
Do I have to become a member? Is there a membership fee?
you do,
Or
but I would say let's crowdsource this. So for our listeners,
Yeah.
check it out and let us know how it went.
Okay, that's fair. Okay, Mike, why don't we wrap it up there, and why don't you read us out?
Sure. Thanks, Charlie. Thanks, everyone, for listening. This has been This Week in Local. Stay tuned every week for more episodes. You can find the show on all major podcast networks and find out more at localogy.com. So please subscribe, like, and comment. Your engagement helps others find us. And if you're interested in being a guest or a sponsor, you can email us at podcast@localogy.com. So I'm Mike Boland with Charles Laughlin. Our producer is Dara Sweat. So thanks for listening, and see you next week.
Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of Localogy's This Week in Local with Mike Boland and Charles Laughlin. Be sure to subscribe for more.